a goal there, it's like they're a different team, and that's with everybody. The parity in the Big Ten, I believe, is insane. There are no upsets.
It's a
Am
it's
I
tough.
right? There are no upsets.
It's tough week to week. It's hard. Every game's a grind. It's
What'd
like
you see about this kid that you liked?
Stoller.
Yeah.
Um, Technically he's very good. He's got great technique. He's got great natural instincts. He's big. He takes up a lot of the goal. He reacts very well. He anticipates shots very well. Um, I thought that was huge for them on Sunday night is that they got outshot badly in the first quarter. And, you look at they kind of like survived that initial rush, and then that game settled in, and it just seemed like they started to get more comfortable and more momentum, and he just did such a good job early of just kind of like stopping that initial flurry of shots. So he's good. We've got to do a good job kind of understanding who's in goal. He's big, so he takes up a lot of goals, so you got to obviously get to good spots or there's just not going to be much to shoot at.
Coach, good morning.
Yeah.
I'm just wondering how's it different when you're preparing for a dynamic, offensive guy when they're playing from up top versus down low. I know they have Knobloch, who's a really dangerous offensive midi. How do you kind of change the preparation? I mean, obviously you want your LSM on him, but that's not always going to happen.
Yeah, it's funny in this example, right? They have a guy at both behind and up top because they run that first midfield pretty much the whole game. So you're dealing with a guy that can dodge you up top and a guy that can dodge behind at all times, and there aren't a lot of teams that are like that. And a guy up top that basically, like Knobloch can dodge just about anybody and get his hands free. So yeah, you have to make sure you're aware of, it's kind of we call it KYP, know your personnel. That guy's a slasher. He's attacking the goal at all times. And you just have to make sure you're aware of where he is and then realize like he is going to slash to the goal. So when the ball gets redirected and they're good because the ball will move and the ball will go kind of opposite to him, and then so you'll slough in, and then as the ball gets moved back out front again, you've got to go out and approach him, take a good approach, but also realize he's probably going to attack that guy, and everybody behind needs to be on point and ready, because you got to be ready to slide and support. And if you pick up too late, which you see on film, and it happened to us last year, guys get worried. They're like, oh, it's not blocked, so I'll back up so I don't get beat so badly. But if you keep backing up too much, by the time he catches it and splits and gets his hands free, he's already dangerous because he shoots it so hard and he has different release points. And if you don't get out there, like trouble. And if you slide quickly and you don't cover up behind, he's going to find somebody opening. So that is something that, we have to make sure that we are aware of. Luckily, we've played against them a good amount the last couple of years, certainly two times at the very end last year. So our older guys are pretty aware of how dynamic and talented he is. So it's just kind of refreshing them on, hey, just to remember, and just showing some clips where he got the best of us last year. So kind of working on that. Our scout guys have done a really good job of trying to give us that look, just to prepare us.
And with Scott down low, he can be as dangerous as a facilitator as he is a shooter. When you kind of encounter those kind of attackmen, sort of like Molliver for you guys, uh, what's the preparation like for that? I mean, to get your guys ready for the pass?
Same, got a guy, back there. They do a good job of attacking in unsettled situations, early offense, getting him, with a pick, much like some of the, most offenses now. People, if you have a really good and a really fast player like Scott, you'll run some picks, and so that your defenders both have to navigate that, and maybe you can get additional leverage from that. If you miscommunicate, that's a problem as well. So, luckily again, he's a Northwest guy. So, Ajax is familiar with him. He's played him a long time. Doesn't make it any easier, but it does provide a little bit of familiarity, just kind of knowing, what his skill set is and how fast he is. So that's something that, we've got to make sure that we're on top of and aware of. And again, I thought they did a great job. They just played with so much urgency on Sunday night. Obviously the first two Big Ten games didn't go the way they wanted, but the response that you would have wanted, especially like as a head coach from your team, but more specifically, two seniors who have played a ton that are guys that I think will be PLL players. Those guys stepped up, like they made plays, and they kind of were like, all right, we're gonna pull this wagon, just follow us. And listen, we're getting late in the season. So, we don't expect any different. We feel like those guys are going to be aggressive and make plays, and we need to be on point or they're going to make you pay.
Hey, good morning, Coach.
Good morning.
You guys, it was a great win, but only put together 8 goals. You're against a Rutgers team that held Michigan to 7 goals last week. Just what needs to improve offensively?
Certainly I think one thing that will help us is I think the pace will be a little faster. We kind of knew that Ohio State game was going to be very slow tempo, limited opportunities, limited possessions. Rutgers will play super fast, but then, they will look for early offense. They'll look for transition. They'll look for, the early phases of the subbing game. And then certainly they're not afraid to kind of go deeper in the shot clock. But my gut is this tempo will be faster, which means more possessions. So that can help you. But I think to your point, with those possessions, we need to be cleaner. We had a lot of silly turnovers, just not doing a great job, getting a little anxious, maybe a little sloppy. So we've been working on just, fundamentals, some of our decision making, making sure that, we're on point there. I think getting more organized in our sets, being in the spots that we need to get to. I thought they did a good job of, they kind of sped Michigan up with their defense. So whereas Ohio State did not slide much, I felt like Michigan, against Michigan, Rutgers slid a little faster, and then maybe anticipated. And sometimes that can be problematic because, all of a sudden what you're anticipating, guys are getting to your hands a little faster, and that can kind of put you in like situations where you're just a little off, or maybe there's a little more pressure. Somebody gets to your hands and you're just it's almost like blitzing in football. You just miss some guys because of the pressure. So that's something we have to be aware of, whether they're going to slide or not slide, be comfortable in either of those. They ran zone a lot against Hopkins. So that's another thing that we need to be prepared for. But again, I thought they played great. I thought their defense really flew around, made plays. They obviously got saves, and sometimes the saves are a byproduct of the defense kind of dictating some of the shots that you want. So we've got to make sure that, we are working hard to get shots that we want, and that will kind of be a big part of the battle.
Hey, Coach, Eric had some kind of a game last week. All right. And is he he was great. Let's leave it like that. But I think the week before he didn't score a goal, and last week he scores 4. Is there a push from you to say, hey, go with it because he can get it done? Or is it he just letting the game come to him?
Yeah, I'd probably say the latter. Certainly he always has the green light. We have a lot of confidence in Eric. I think sometimes, again, with the way we play, we try not to put too much on one guy, because I feel like, at least we feel like when, like one guy's carrying the load, you can really kind of focus on one guy. It makes your defensive game plan a little easier. What we try to do is like everybody has the ability to make plays, and we try to do it out of the flow. And I think that allows everybody to get involved, makes you a little less predictable. But we certainly, never want him to feel like, hey, you can't dodge. And then sometimes maybe people pay a little more attention, to you in a certain game, and that opens up other guys. And I think for this team, we're kind of built that way where, each week it might be to a certain extent, some guys scoring a little bit more, and the next week, maybe somebody else stepping up. We're not really built like we were when we had Logan and Jared, where you kind of knew they were going to get theirs almost every week. This year, we're just a little bit different. And that's fine with us. I think hopefully if you help too much to one guy, maybe somebody else will get those opportunities. But man, Eric really stepped up, especially late when we needed it. And again, I think his confidence just keeps growing. I'm watching some film from last year and then looking to this year. His confidence level is certainly through the roof.
Eric has 2 more years left, correct?
Yep, he redshirted in 22. Obviously, we're glad that he did that. He lost a year due to an injury in high school, so I felt like that really helped him transition and just get bigger, faster, stronger, and hopefully, the game has slowed down from that first year, certainly to last year to now. I think we've seen that.
Well, you've been mentioned that you're looking for the alpha, and I think you got the alpha, but you got to make sure the alpha is integral, if you know what I mean. And I think that he's, in the future, the development will be unbelievable next year with what he's done this year. Does he ever move to attack? Is that ever cross your mind or not yet?
Oh yeah. We're always open to, kind of moving some pieces around, and putting guys in spots. And I think that's, kind of our job is to, after every game and we're sitting in these meetings and we talk about things, hey, what do you think? Should he be playing attack? Should we have him on the field more? And it would make sense. Then it's like, all right, what's the ripple effect? And what are the unintended consequences? And that goes for even a close defender playing long stick and a long stick playing close, a midi playing attack and attack playing midi. But certainly never want to box anybody in. And I think you always have to kind of be asking those questions, because maybe shifting some guys would make sense. We kind of play an offense where we really don't refrain from guys going to any part of the field to dodge, because we do feel like, that, out of the flow of the offense, if you have guys that can dodge just about anywhere, it does make it less predictable. So it's a little hard to game plan. So we want to stay true to that. Obviously, some guys are going to kind of naturally get to the spots they like best, but we try not to be super rigid and be so predictable that teams are like, okay, this is exactly what they do. I think that's easier when you're getting ready for teams.
Well, it's hard to mess with your first line midfield because it's been fantastic this year. And that's the other side of the story, at this point, being so late in the season. But good luck. We know it's going to be a very tough game on Sunday. It's they're coming off with a mojo, energetic win against a team that beat us. So guys have to be ready, correct?
Oh yeah, and we've cautioned them. Like again, a lot of times at this time of year, the teams with the most desperation have a little bit of an edge. Like you're fighting uphill. You kind of realize the sand's kind of going through the sand dial, right? Like, it's like, hey, we don't have much time left. Let's let it all hang out there. So you better be prepared. Certainly for us, we spent a lot of time, getting back in transition. They do a terrific job of just pushing the ball and getting the ball out, running, going from defense to offense. So we got to kind of these last 2 days continue to hit on that. If you look at the first goal they scored last week, it was in transition. So they over the 60 minutes, you kind of never feel comfortable because even if you have the ball in offense, you realize they could get the ball and push the ball the other way, and their attack is super skilled. And then even if you get back, then you got Knobloch coming out of the box and running downhill. A lot of times early offense with reduced numbers, or you're not super organized. And that guy, man, he can get his hands free again, against just about anybody, and he can sling the ball. And if not, then Ross Scott will dodge an early offense. And if you're subbing guys on and off, and you have fewer players, there's more space for him to operate. And again, those guys, they've been there, done that. Both guys played internationally during the summer, so they have a lot of experience. And those guys will be playing in the PLL, and the other guys are good too. I think the surrounding components are really good players as well. And I think they've done a great job with their defense too. You mentioned Stoller, he's been great, but that defense almost is all new. And they've done a good job to hold a Big Ten team to 7 goals last week. Says a lot about, their defensive coordinator, Jimmy Ryan, and what he's done. And Eric obviously does a good job with their offense, and Brian's done a terrific job at Rutgers. So complete team. And again, everybody knows everybody. So it's going to be a slugfest.
I know Coach Breck doesn't want to beat you. I mean, I can imagine. But you got to deal with that every week.
Every week,
Yeah.
But that's what's exciting, the challenges. Hopefully that's what the kids look forward to on all sides.
Let me jump in and ask one question, Coach. George Stamos, just happened to catch, as I was looking through his bio for last week's game, some incredible numbers that guy put up in his senior year in high school. Crazy. I know he's just getting going with you guys, but when a guy who put offensive numbers up, defensive numbers up in his high school career, what do you look for from him as he continues to develop as a Terp?
Yeah, boy, oh boy. What a just a winner, and just an impressive young guy. Engineering student, has, right now is talked about maybe going the SEAL route. His dad went to Naval Academy. So you're talking about, a guy who's like just an alpha male driven. We talk about be the best, right? Be the best person, student, and player you can be. That guy epitomizes it. Whatever he's doing, he's giving 100%. And just kind of goes to show, like, in high school, you obviously played other sports and was successful there. But, had a long pole in high school, but was scoring goals, and, came to us and redshirted last year as an engineer. It made sense because there's an additional, I think, 15 credits to graduate. So a lot of guys take 4.5 years to 5 anyway. And so now George, year 2, much like Spanos, last year as a freshman, like, the game is a little bit slower. Man, he's done such a good job. He's, played wings for us. He helps us in the clearing game. He scored some big goals, covers the ball well, clears well. But, whatever he's doing as well and as hard as possible. But man, that guy, if you're hiring a guy down the road, man, that's a guy I'd hire, because he's going to kill it. And he's got a great temperament. He's humble, comes from a great family, soft-spoken. But man, oh man, just, when you coach and you're around, young people like that, it makes you very like confident that the future is bright for the leadership that we're going to have coming out of these young people that are going in the real world.
And I guess the other guy off of the defensive side to ask is just really about Will Schaller. You see that he played ice hockey in high school, and I think when you watch him out on the field, it's pretty apparent that he did.
Yeah, he is a physical, strong dude. He's not going to be the tallest guy out there, but pound for pound, he's going to be one of the strongest. His dad played college lacrosse. His mom was a college athlete as well. So he comes from a family of athletes. But another guy, tremendous student, was thinking pre-med, coming in, and kind of decided, last year he was going to switch out of that, and he's going to do something different. But again, a tremendous student, a tremendously hard worker. Like when you think of a guy who plays lacrosse like he plays hockey, that is exactly it. Physical, checks hard, like once the game's over, it's like no big deal, but during the game, he's ultra competitive. You know, we love his physicality. He's good off the ground. He's got excellent feet. So his future is really bright. His ability to evolve has allowed us to have a 4-man rotation this year, which we rarely have had here. So we're able to play 4 guys more than we really have in my time here. So he's a guy that's only going to get better and better. Super smart. So I'm excited about, like, you know, obviously the next couple of years with him.
Thank you, Coach.
Sure.
Good luck, Coach,
good.
Saturday night.
Yep.
Awesome.
Thanks,
Thank
Coach.
you all.
Thank you, Coach.
Appreciate it.
Thanks, Coach.
Have a good couple days here.